everyone. So today I thought I'd just do a quick video after bleeding the brakes on my Mark II Audi TT of this new Sealey brake and clutch bleeding system that I've purchased online. So essentially, after I changed the pads and discs on my Mark II Audi TT, I had to change the rear calipers, which has led me to needing to bleed the brakes. So I was looking online for a solution that didn't require two people having to constantly top the reservoir up and pump the brake pedal, and I stumbled across this. So I was actually going to video myself using it, but I thought it would be overcomplicated despite what people say online, so I didn't bother. But having used it now, I wish I had, because it is absolutely straightforward to use. So essentially, traditionally when you bleed the brakes, you've got to have somebody there with you pumping the brake pedal, watching the reservoir as you go round and undo the bleed nipples. However, with this solution, all of that hassle's taken away. So I'll include a link in the description to this product. It's absolutely worth the money. So essentially, in the box, you get what's shown in front of you here. Looks a bit scary to start with, I suppose. However, it's so simple to use. So what you do when you first get the product here is, the first thing you want to be doing is put the top of the bottle like this until the pressure dial shows around 10 psi. Leave that for a few minutes just to test that you've got all the caps screwed on tightly and make sure it doesn't lose any pressure. Once that's done, you're good to go with bleeding the brakes. So the first thing you want to do is you want to undo this cap here and fill the bottle up with brake fluid. So I put around 1.5 litres in. I think it was just .4 fluid that I used. Tip that in to the bottle and then screw the cap back on tightly. Included in the box is a little plastic spanner here to tighten the cap up to make sure that you've got an airtight seal. Once you've done that, you want to take the cap from your brake fluid reservoir on the car and screw this cap on. And the important thing is to make sure that as you're screwing this on, make sure you pump to make sure that fluid is just about to come out of this nozzle here. Because obviously, as you bleed the brakes, the fluid will be replaced in the reservoir through here. So you never need to worry about how much fluid is in the reservoir as long as you've got fluid in the main bottle. So first of all, pump until you just about get fluid coming through here. Screw that on to your reservoir. So that's sitting on the engine bay. That's screwed onto the brake fluid reservoir. And then you want to pump until you get around, depending on the manufacturer, but to be honest, I think around 15 psi will do it. So you've got a pressure gauge there. Make sure you're around 15 psi. Once you've done that, you want to leave it for a few minutes just to make sure the pressure doesn't drop, which would show if you'd got any glaring holes in your brake system anywhere. So that would show if you'd got big leaks in the master cylinder seals and something like that. So if you leave it for a few minutes and you haven't got any leaks in air pressure and it's still at around 15 psi, it's okay if it's dropped a tiny little bit, then you're good to go. So literally, that is all you need to do. Once you've done that, you can do what you would normally do, take the wheels off, or if you're lucky enough to have a car where you don't need to take the wheels off, go round one by one, furthest away from the reservoir first. So on the TT, I did rear left, rear right, front left, front right, and undo the bleed nipples on the calipers. So make sure you've got your little bit of, I think this is 6mm internal diameter pipe, could be 9mm internal diameter pipe, I can't remember. You want that on your bleed nipple as you're undoing it on the caliper, and you want the other end in like a glass jar or something. It's important that the end that's in the glass jar is submerged in brake fluid to make sure that you're not sucking air up the other way. So you've got that screwed onto your brake reservoir under the bonnet. That's on your bleed nipple. The other end is in a glass jar, submerged in brake fluid. As you undo the bleed nipple, you should see in the glass jar that with the pipe that's submerged in fluid, you should see little air bubbles if you've got air in the system. Keep the bleed nipple open until you stop seeing air coming through. Once that's done, tighten it back up, not too tight or you'll never get them undone again, and then move on to the next wheel. I thought when I bought this product you'd have to keep continuously pumping this back up after each wheel because it'd lose so much pressure. I think I only had to do it once, I think, around the whole car, and even that was unnecessary because it was still at 10 psi, and it didn't actually use that much fluid. I think I used probably half a litre of fluid or so. So absolutely brilliant tool to have in the garage if you want to bleed your brakes, because you don't need two people. Obviously I've only used it once, I'm not sure how hard wearing it is, but it seems to be made of good quality materials. And the other thing is, obviously you don't need, with a lot of these tools, you need to take the air pressure from like a car tyre or something like this. This is obviously completely standalone, works on a pressure pump with the little gauge on the front there. Yeah, like I said, I've only used it once, but I'd give it an absolutely fantastic review, because you can bleed your entire brake system on your own. No hassle, no worries around getting air back into the system the other way and things like that. So fully recommended. So apologies that I couldn't video using this on the car. Like I say, I thought it was going to be an absolute complete hassle, so I didn't bother videoing it, and now I wish I had. So when I do next bleed the brakes, I'll video using this. But if you've enjoyed this video, even though it's a bit of a stationary instruction and review video, then please do like and subscribe.